Now, here in Nigeria, and as you may know, the body which runs Nigeria's university entrance exams has admitted to a technical glitch which compromised some results of this year's tests after nearly 80% of students got low grades. The low pass rate has sparked widespread outrage across Nigeria, especially after one candidate who was aspiring to study microbiology took her own life after swallowing poison. Generally 200 or above out of 400 is enough to get a place in university in the exams run by the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, or JAMB. Only 400,000 of the 1.9 million students achieved that mark, one of the worst performances in recent years. Well, following a public outcry, the exams board says that students in some areas in the southeast and southwest regions will be able to retake their exams. With more on this, I'm joined now in the studio by Irene Bangwell, co-founder of the N100-a-Day charity school in the Abuja district of Kuje. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, Dr.
Thank you very much indeed. I'm not a doctor, actually, but thank you for promoting me. I appreciate that.
Good to be here with you again.
Yeah. What do you make of what happened with this technical glitch that JAM said compromised those results in this year's test?
So, sir, the trouble that I have with that report is we don't know the extent to which this technical glitch is really responsible for the total outcome. Because when you look at the history, the trajectory of the UTME exams from maybe 2015 till now, that examination body always throws out the worst kind of result. So I would like us to even have a more comprehensive look at what the outcome is. There is a technical glitch, but to what extent? I have other theories around it, because a country that has 70% of children in school and not learning cannot have quality UTME results. So maybe we need to step back and look at the curriculum side of things, the teaching and learning, the digital skills gap for children that are underserved, who don't have access to computers, who may know the questions but not be able to use computers. So I would rather we had a more comprehensive look, because we don't know the extent to which the technical glitch is responsible for everything. So for example, JAM has come out to say they want children to retake the exams, but only 390,000 children qualify to retake. So again, that is just a fraction of the young people who didn't do well. So I'd like us to have maybe something more comprehensive to be able to
That's a good point. And I understand that there are students in Abuja, for instance, who experienced technical problems. But Abuja is not one of the centers where students can retake exams. And that left those students completely distraught.
Yes, sir. And I think that that's because, again, we're not using data. I can't imagine how the decisions about where the most pressure points came from? Is it where the loudest, challenge, the noise, the people that raise the issues and threaten to sue? Is it by where the noise was loudest? Again, the Nigerian approach to things is almost not forensic. We're not looking at the data comprehensively. So yes, I understand there are children who were in centers that had some glitches, but I also had one of my students who scored a little below 200, who had fright, who had social anxiety. So as she comes up to me to say, I had social anxiety, I don't want to tell her it was a technical glitch, but I wish the information was a bit more comprehensive. Yes.
Right, and did that, the technical glitch or whatever the dickens it was, affect your school or your affiliates in any sort of strong way?
Incidentally, no. I had 14 candidates from my school take the exam, and 12 out of 14 of them scored above 200 remarkably.
Oh, that's very good.
And we had a child that was underage that her results were not released, and the 14th child that scored less than 200, who happened to be one of our outstanding students during the JS3 exam, pointed social anxiety as her biggest undoing in the exams, but not technical glitch, yes.
Well, I mean, you mentioned the fact that, and rightly so, that there are so many issues that are affecting and retarding the quality of education in Nigeria. But obviously your school, I mean, if you're getting 12 out of 14 scoring above 200, I mean, that means that you did remarkably well and you're not affected by those things.
Yes, sir. And it's not accidental success, sir. So I can boldly say that we found a revolutionary way to provide access to quality education and guarantee that children in underserved families are learning. If Nigeria is the world's poverty capital and we take the 63 or 73% numbers and take it and apply it into education, you start to imagine who are the kids that are failing the most? Are the kids that don't have access to computers? So anyway, one of the things I know is responsible to the success we've recorded is this revolutionary way that we're providing education to poor children, where we look at it comprehensively. We first are giving access to kids to come to school at 100 naira a day, which is negligible and non-mandatory, so they are never sent home from school. So that means if a child is in my school, for the 6 years they've had uninterrupted learning, no fee drive. That in itself is providing access. And then we designed revolutionary learning tools for them that ensures that no matter the learning gaps they present within school, at secondary school, we meet them where they are and we build them up to where they need to be at the time they're taking these exams. I want the country to be able to take a pedagogical look at this to say, is there something wrong with the way we're teaching the Nigerian child? So in the last 6 years, I've spent my time in the classroom, and I want you to know that the average Nigerian child is naturally smart, is intelligent. I just feel that there's something, I know. And now we did some research with our materials in other states in Nigeria, and we have evidence that there's something wrong with the way that learning communication is happening in schools.
But are you communicating? Because I mean, the points you're making are very important,
yes, sir.
Particularly for a country trying to, get it industrialized,
yes, sir.
Develop its economy, develop
yes,
its society, make it more competitive.
Yes,
I mean, are these points you're making being communicated to the right quarters?
Obviously, I'm on Arise News, and I think Arise is one place that gives us the platform to communicate to right.
Yeah, but I'm saying beyond
the Arise.
This.
Yes,
I mean talking to the Ministry of Education and all the rest of it, state governments and so on.
Incidentally, sir, but with support from Ford Foundation, last year and earlier this year, we were asked to take our learning materials to go test it in 4 states: Kano State, Enugu State, Cross River State, and here in the FCT. And the feedback has been remarkable. So we've started interfacing with government agencies and government bodies, and we held the Education Access and Equity Conference just this Wednesday. And there were a number of FCT-based education directors and representatives there. So we think that we're making headway there, but being here just says we can do more. We're looking forward to partnerships so we can scale this. So just as we were talking about global competitiveness, I don't know if you're aware that Nigeria ranks 118 out of 137 in math and science education globally by World Economic Forum. So if that's what our ranking is in terms of education, then we shouldn't expect miracles when we write national examinations. Yes.
And you mentioned, which sort of caught my attention, although I think I've heard about it in the past, but you mentioned the 100 naira a day school.
Yes, sir.
Is that what you charge your
yes,
students?
That's what our fee is, and so it's not even mandatory. And so let me step back.
Yeah, try and explain some of that to us, because it sounds fascinating, actually.
Yes, it is. We've done this for 6 school years. We started in September 2019. Families get to pay just 100 naira a day, and their children get books, they get uniform. The girls get monthly sanitary pads.
But is that targeted at a particular group?
Yes, it is.
Because I don't expect people from the wealthier districts to turn up there and pay 100 naira a day.
No, sir. It's for kids who have been out of school before,
right,
or kids at risk of dropping out. We have the belief that poverty perpetuates itself. So when people are poor, education goes, and so then the kids don't have access to opportunities. So we are that place where we say, bring the kids. Let's make sure they get 6 years secondary education while parents are trying to figure out their lives. And we've done this for 6 years, and our pioneer set, they're currently in the process of writing the West African Examinations Council exams, and we're hoping for the very best for them.
Right, and at what stage do they start school with you? Because I'm wondering whether you've been able to track their progress in such a way that it can be demonstrably shown that what you're doing is working.
Yes, sir. So first off, we take them in at JSS1. That's the finished secondary school. So we do a test when they're coming in, and kids who score 50% and above get admitted into the school. Now, following the way our learning infrastructure, using our text, the resources that we're using in school, we have a way of tracking on a daily basis whether a child learned in school or not, using a learning dashboard, because it's a big deal for us for all children sitting in our classrooms to learn. So what we've done can be replicated, can be scaled. We're even looking for state governments who are struggling in terms of their education to work with them to see how if we work with the children in just 1 to 3, we guarantee that they will get results, especially with underserved children.
Right.
Those are the people we are called out to serve. Those are the people showing up with a lot of learning gaps because they've been out of school, they don't have educated parents to support them, they've not been consistent in one locality, and all of that is showing up in school. They're coming to school hungry. That's why having a feeding program like we do is super important. So we're challenging governments who want to do better by education to partner up with us, because especially for children in just 1 to 3 in public schools, we can turn around whatever outcomes that they have at the moment.
Right, and I understand that one of the tools that you're using is something called the Storyfied textbook.
It's a miracle textbook.
Tell us about that. So
it's taking learning materials, the texts that are, or the topics that are required to be taught, and further simplifying it, sir. So when we started admitting children in JSS1, we found out that kids are coming to secondary school, but they're reading at primary 2 and 3. They're reading words, not pacing, not comprehensively. So when you look at the current textbooks, you ask yourself, if 70% of kids are not reading, who is this textbook written for? They don't understand it, so it just ends up someplace. So we decided to storify lessons. And it really started in COVID, where they didn't have access to teachers and they couldn't learn online. We had to prepare math lessons in written materials for kids to pick up. So you had to make it storified, relatable, something they can pick up something at home to do, really self-explanatory. Lessons are in bite sizes, and the kids get the opportunity to tell us if the lesson was comprehensive or not. So if they had a difficulty, the teachers report it in the dashboard and we take the lesson, because the focus in ensuring that learning actually happens in every classroom. So we built this into a textbook, and that's what we went to test in public schools in 4 states, and the results were released on Wednesday.
Right. Is that the conference you had on Wednesday?
Yes, sir. The Education Access and Equity Conference, yes.
And who was at the conference?
We had British Council was at the conference. We had a representative from Secondary Education Board. We had a representative from National Orientation Agency. The Mandate Secretary on Education on the FCT had a representative.
But you need policy makers.
Yes, we do need policy makers, and we are getting ready to get into those rooms to have those conversations that will shape how learning materials in Nigeria is developed. But we also want people to take us on and give us the opportunity to do this at a larger scale and test the outcome. But so far, the outcomes have been remarkable.
Well, I certainly think the Nigerian government should consider doing what you're doing, adopting that on a much larger scale.
Yes, sir.
But, I mean, extrapolating from what you've been telling us about your school and about your methodology and all the rest of it, into what we saw that happened with the JAMB exam and the so-called technical glitches. I mean, how damaging do you think that's been to the overall university entrance exams process in Nigeria?
So first and foremost, like someone that has interacted with university students, I still hold the view that the kids that wrote last year, like a child I saw had a high point last year, retook it this year, and that's damning. I heard about the child who unfortunately took her life, which is painful to imagine. That's a fight to go to school, being truncated. I know that there are kids who are legitimately caught in this, and I'm grateful that JAM is giving the opportunity for them to retake. But I also know that I have met too many students in the university that are not supposed to be in the university, that are a mismatch. They don't have the proper foundational skill. So as the educator that I am, my perspective will always still to, let's equip these kids, because their future is lying on their capacities, is lying on the skills.
Well, the future of Nigeria.
For the future of Nigeria, yes.
I mean,
yes, the future of this country is on these children's shoulders. And so we need to take responsibility for it, sir. A young person is going to make a decision in your future, and the quality of human that they are will determine to a large extent the quality of decisions that they make. And so one young person's decision impacts all of us. So let's team up together and make sure they're getting quality education. But then let's sit down with JAM and not accept technical glitch, but let's get more details. What was the glitch? What was the cause? Why was it in this region? What did it look like? Is it possible that kids that had accidental high scores, how do we reconcile all of this? But my approach is, let's always have a comprehensive lens so that we actually solve the problems at the root.
I want to thank you very much
Thank you so much, Mr.
and
Charles,
congratulations on what you're doing.
Thank you, sir.
Irene Bangwell is the co-founder of the KNOSK 100 Naira a Day charity school in the Abuja district of Kuje. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you for having me.